Hi, Anne. Welcome to Discover Energy Work. I'm really excited. I'm always excited, when I've got a great guest, but I've always got great guests. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I have Julie, and Julie Bolduc is what it says. Right. Okay. The professional name
Yeah.
is Bolduc. Okay.
Yes.
And Julie is amazing. She's a friend of mine. I've been to her home in Canada, where I felt just being in her home was just so healing. But let's get down to the more official things, as we were talking about the official, unofficial. Yeah, she's a certified body talk practitioner, a certified brain health coach, and a registered holistic nutritionist. Now that really doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, with Discover Energy work, it doesn't really matter. Like energy doesn't go, oh, sorry, that's I'm not. You're not registered. You can't do energy work. The energy is not going to follow you because you haven't attended a course. But the thing is about Julia, she's just amazing at all the modalities that she does. But I want to go underneath the hood. I want to go Shakira on you.
Okay.
Um, I want to. I don't know if I should say Shakira on
Thanks,
you,
Richard.
right? But tell me, Julie. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. And
Yeah. Thank you for having me. My
yeah,
pleasure. Yeah.
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 So I can give you a little story about Julie because I was suffering with depression after my daughter's suicide, and I went to stay with Julie for 2 weeks, and she was the most amazing, gracious hostess. And I think it was maybe the last day, she said, "Oh," um, I said, do you think there are any supplements I need to take?" And she said, "Oh yeah, you need to take this one." And she gave me the name, and the name will come into my brain. But I'm kind of saying to people, like, don't think there's a standard supplement. She said, like, I've tested, and this name just comes straight into my head. Take that one. When I got back to Hong Kong, I got it, and I think I ordered it when I was still in Canada, and it arrived by the time I got back to Hong Kong. I took it, and it was like my brain switched on. It was like a whole energy was woken up in my brain. I was like, that's incredible. And we talk about this wonderful guy, the medical medium, and I feel like you really have got an incredible talent, Julie. So let me ask you,
Hmm.
when did this all start? When did you go? Did Was there like a moment, a first moment where you discovered energy? It might have been even small,
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day, and I realized it was probably when I was quite young. Um, I I felt most at home in the forest. And I remember, I still remember how I feel every time I walk through a forest, the
or
energy of the trees and the earth and being
hmm,
around the trees. And I used to, as a child, sit underneath trees and draw trees and
hmm,
just sit there and be part of that energy and just feeling it and being immersed in it. Um, I also had well, I remember talking to my mom too about this when I go into shopping malls.
hmm. Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
oh
So
yeah.
I would basically within 10, 15 minutes, I would be in physical pain.
Hmm,
And to the point where, my back would be sore, my
hmm,
legs would be really heavy, I wouldn't feel well. I
hmm,
get headaches and I'd have to sit down,
hmm.
right? Um,
Fascinating.
so yeah, it was really fascinating.
Okay,
When,
okay, got an angle on this because you lived in Singapore and Hong Kong, and they
Mhm.
do this feng shui. They try to align the energy flows. Was there a difference in the shopping malls that you went to in Singapore and Hong Kong?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
More,
I felt a big difference,
right,
right,
in
with the way I felt.
they're
Yeah.
just like more comfortable to be in.
Hmm. Yeah. And, the malls still here are very similar to, what I grew up with, right?
Right.
So um, I still don't spend a lot of time in malls, but I do know with all the work that I've done over the years, I'm a lot stronger and I'm able to handle, you know,
Right.
being
We need to
in that.
get more feng shui, and well, I say feng
Mhm.
shui actually is just like becoming aware that, you know, um, everything is energy, and if you align certain things,
Right.
if you take a battery and put it in something, then sometimes if it's facing the wrong way, nothing is going to work, and you just
That's
turn
right.
it 180 degrees and it works. Or if you mean 90 degrees, because you probably put
Yeah.
it in sideways
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, but
Absolutely. Yeah, there's another incident, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. Um, when I was about 9 years old, my family joined a church, and it was actually a cult.
yeah.
So, um, as soon as we walked in the door, and I was holding my mother's hand, I could feel something was wrong.
Hmm.
And immediately I was saying to my mom, I don't like it. I don't like the feel of this place. I think this church is very bad.
Hmm.
And was expressing that to my mom quite, you know, seriously.
Hmm.
And, she turned to me and said, no, 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 everything's okay. This is going to be a great place for us.
Hmm.
But I remember walking away from that going, any time that, down the road when I have children, I'm going to listen to them
Right.
because I felt very strongly that energy. As soon as I walked into that church, it was not good, not good at all. So, and I
It's
still remember how I
fascinating.
felt.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating because I actually one of the things that interests me and is informing people about um, uh, because you might say everything's energy work, and then there are people who use it to gain an advantage over other people, to gain power, and
Right.
then they don't know how to deal with it, and they become abusive. And it might not be
Absolutely.
intentional at the beginning, but it becomes a cult at some point.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. 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 There were
and
people in that church that were very, they knew how to manipulate the congregation, right?
mm,
And it wasn't, you know, um, wasn't a good scenario for a
mm.
lot of the members, right? It wasn't good for them.
As a kid, were you able to distance yourself? Did you? I mean, because
Yes.
or do you feel like
Yes.
you were drawn in and you kind of got the brainwash? You
Nope,
got the
I didn't.
Kool
I
Aid.
actually, it was quite funny because I, as a kid, I was always very much, I would do what my parents asked me to. I didn't raise, a big stink about anything. I
Mm,
was the good child. And every Sunday,
mm,
I would fight to because I didn't want to go to church.
mm,
And I would fight with my Sunday school teachers.
mm,
And they would complain to my parents and say, listen, she's not, behaving.
mm,
Because I'm questioning them. I was questioning them all the time.
mm.
And they didn't like that. So um, I did distance myself quite a bit. I didn't do the homework that was asked of me. Um, and, we were there for about 10 years. But yeah, it was quite the experience for sure. But I believe that the way that I was handling it was I don't know. My parents said that I had a very strong mind,
Yeah,
and I was able to not let anyone sway me into believing what
right,
they were giving out, right? So
right, right.
um, yeah, it was an interesting time. It's interesting looking back on it and understanding that it wasn't taken in.
Have you done energy work with people that have come out of cults since then?
I
Has that
have,
ever?
I
Yeah.
have, and it was interesting because when I moved to France, um, I ended up getting quite a few people that had belonged to the same church, and they were still feeling that pull to
Right.
that to the
Yeah,
church.
it's
And
energetic. You feel it's part of your identity as well. I mean,
yeah,
especially yeah.
yeah, and so it kind of it all made sense to me in that moment when I first had this family come, and I thought, wow. you know, the pain and the experience, because during those years at that cult, I saw a lot of people suffering, and we weren't allowed to use medication. We weren't, allowed to see doctors. So there were a lot of people getting sick and dying, or coming down with mental health issues, right?
Mm,
And not being able to get any sort of help.
mm,
Um, so they, and when I met this family again, I thought, all this experience that I got from, being in this cult, and now doing the energy work and learning how to deal with, a lot of these hooks that are in there, right? And taking out the hooks.
mm.
Um, that whole experience, it prepared me for
Yeah,
this family.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting about your answer is going back to the original feeling of energy, and is it was just a knowing. You just knew you were one, or connected, or yeah. Um, that's so interesting. And um, then that picture of trees, I almost got the picture now when you got older, that you were so rooted in a natural way that when you came across a cult, you had this root to just, yeah, no. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, but no.
No.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah, yeah, cult, no. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So and then
And not very many people know that about me, right? So, um,
I'll
but
put,
yeah.
yeah, Julie reveals all. It's going to be the title on video.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
going to be amazing title.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for sharing it. I mean,
It was a hard, it was a tough time, for many of those families.
I mean, I was
My
involved.
family.
I was involved with a cult-like organization, and my parents brought us up in the like cult-like sort of churches, and I think what it does is and I had a very authoritarian, parent and parenting, and it makes you actually extremely. Uh, it gives you a lack of confidence because you're always looking to somebody else to tell you what to do. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yep.
You're just like,
Yep.
okay, well, what's right? Because somebody's been telling me what's right and what's wrong for years. I don't actually know. And then suddenly you're taken to a place where you go, okay, I need to go inside and find out what's right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Almost like a Socratic, get rid of everything I know, and then there's something else which knows. And I'll call that me, beyond ego or whatever. But yeah, and then you got, how did that sort of lead on to you finally becoming an energy person, I'll say.
Um, and it's interesting because after that, my parents, left the church, and in my early 20s, I was introduced to energy work. So at around age 21, 22, I took courses in therapeutic touch,
Right,
because that was quite the thing back in the early 90s.
right.
And especially in this area where I live, in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, there were a group of nurses that were doing
Yeah,
therapeutic
yeah. It
touch.
was big with nurses. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, so I got involved in that. I got my 3 levels very
right.
quickly. Yeah, and then worked with some study groups here, and it was very woo woo back then, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of just touch people, wasn't it? I think wasn't it therapeutic
Sorry,
touch? It was kind of like lay your hands on me kind of thing.
yeah, it was actually working more with, I guess, the energy of the body, the aura, and the
Okay.
we didn't. I didn't actually really touch anyone. I didn't learn to actually touch anyone. You know, and when I was practicing with my teacher, we actually practiced on plants. So
Yeah,
she had me
right.
first feel plants and then go from there. Um, and then a few years later, I decided to take Reiki. So, um, so my level 1 Reiki. And, that really was an amazing experience for me. Just being, 25 and being probably one of the youngest in the class. And I took it in Toronto. And my instructor was just an amazing lady. She had taken, she got her master's with someone who was trained by Hawayo Takata.
Right.
So, she had some amazing stories to tell. So
beautiful.
I felt very, very blessed to be able to take Reiki with her. And then I was like a closet energy worker.
Right. A little bit ashamed of being able to feel this stuff when you're trying to fit in with everyone else. Like, yeah, we're talking about like the conformity, like Ashley's experiments on conformity. Like if everybody else faces one direction, you're not going to face the opposite direction,
Yeah. But everyone knew that I was a little different. Oh. Right. So, I worked in offices and, I became a hairdresser at one point. And, I had gone to university. I was going to be a teacher. And then I actually got a really bad concussion when I was at university. So I ended up dropping out. But, had various jobs and couldn't really find the thing I loved, right? And I kept going back to the energy work.
Right.
And then I took reflexology and, got certified in reflexology. And then I had my kids, right?
Right.
And became a full-time mom, right? So I stayed at home, but I still felt drawn to do that energy work. So I ended up setting up a little clinic in my home in Waterloo. And worked out of there. And then I had this call from a friend of mine who said, you have to try this Body Talk. It is so amazing.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
So that was 2004. And I signed up for the first class, took the class, I didn't even know anything about it. Got certified basically 3.5 weeks later because I was so excited about it.
Wow.
Yeah. And haven't looked back since. So that's been 16 years.
So that was kind of, that was your gateway to becoming more like full-time.
Full-time, yeah. Because as soon as I took that class and started my practice, and I'd already had, a small practice already out of my home, I ended up, because I was the only one in this area, I ended up becoming really busy really quickly. So I ended up having to get my mom to babysit my kids and was working about 30 hours a week with clients. Brilliant. So
yeah, I think it's also, I wouldn't say it's just because you're the only one in the area, because there's a lot of people that just be like the only one in the area. I think like there was the network just responded to you, the matrix responded to you. Right. and people just there's an incredible, I think with all the different energy works you experience, sometimes something happens and then synchronicity just kicks in on a phenomenal scale, and people are just saying you need to go and see this person. I just wow, I was just talking about that back pain I've got. Oh, you got back pain? I went and saw Julie, and she's amazing. And she just does this amazing thing. And she told me stuff. I don't know how she knows it. Am I saying what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's exactly what happened. I had a couple ladies that came to me that had, they were actually a woman who, and they were sister-in-law, right? And they both had fibromyalgia.
Right.
And they came to me, and even, I was a very new practitioner. Didn't really know a whole lot about fibromyalgia at the time, knew a little bit. But it was within 2 sessions for both of them. It was all gone.
Yeah. I think that's like, is the wow. I mean, I imagine like that's your wow. So fibromyalgia,
Yeah.
you have to understand, pretty much untreatable condition. It's a syndrome where the slightest touch causes you pain, really, isn't it? It's just like
Yes.
really.
Yes.
Um,
They're also saying that it can be due to the Epstein-Barr virus as well.
right, right,
So that's
right.
something to look at. But
I mean, people are
you know,
killing themselves over fibromyalgia because it's just like
mhm,
it's just there's nothing that people can do, and
no,
and then to have that experience, somebody walk in and after 2 sessions everything's gone. And by the way, they're saying I don't know that you're clearing up past life issues, and you're like
yeah, yeah,
what the what the bleep, yeah.
that's right. Yeah, no two sessions are alike in body talk, right? So you're looking at the person's story, right, and
Right,
what's
right,
happened to them, and and then we find out what's priority to balance, right? We try to get communication back in the body as well,
mm,
getting organs and endocrines and body parts and energies all synchronized.
right,
And and with body talk, we're also asking the innate wisdom of the body through a form of biofeedback. So it looks like muscle testing, and we're asking the body simple questions. It's a very simple technique to do, but oh my gosh, once you get those answers and we tap in corrections,
yeah.
right? And we tap we call the three brains. We tap the head, the heart, and the gut brain. And it looks so simple, but the results are so dramatic in a lot of cases.
And I'd say, two people can learn body talk, and one is going to
Yep.
get amazing results, and one is like going to go, it's like, and I'm saying that not because not nothing to do with body talk. It's whatever
Right.
methodology they use. It's like you've got to be connected. You've got to be like aligned with your methodology, and it's almost like
Yes,
not like a personal preference that you get. It's like I've decided to be aligned with this. It's like it's not like that, is it?
that's not. Yeah, it's not. It's not at all. And
Yeah,
it's really, we bring in a lot of the intuitive part, right?
right.
So we have to, and what we're trying to do is interface our left and right brains, basically.
You're back on
And
the brain. I knew we were going
yeah,
to get to the brain.
yeah, I
Because
love the brain.
well, I know that. And so
Yeah.
I want
So a
people
lot of my
to.
body talk. Oh, sorry.
What I wanted to people is to say, like, you didn't enter the cult of body talk. That you said there are other heavens above, above this heaven that I see, and you continued to research, different methods, different methodologies,
Yeah.
and you've been doing incredible work with the brain, haven't you? What can you tell us
Mhm.
about that?
Yeah. Well, Body Talk also has an advanced level course called Parama, and that is everything about the brain, right? So I took Parama a while ago. Just loved it because since I was a teenager, I've always been in love with the brain and how it works and how can we
Mm,
get it functioning at peak efficiency,
mm,
right?
mm,
Um, so I stumbled upon uh, Dr. Amen's work, Dr. Daniel Amen's work,
mm.
and he's a psychiatrist in Los Angeles.
Right,
So he basically is a holistic psychiatrist, I call him, because what he does is he does SPECT scans. So these types of brain scans actually look at the blood flow in the brain. So they can go a little bit deeper than your MRI or CAT scan.
right,
And then he, finds out what areas are overactive, underactive, or stuck, right? And or that are toxic, right? And then
mm.
he devises a program for you. So he's really into supplementation, so getting the right nutrients in. So
Right, and
like
you're a holistic nutritionist as well.
nutritionist. Yes.
So
So
you
this
must
is
have
right up
gone.
my alley.
I got
Right.
like a little triangle, like nutrition, brain, energy.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the wonderful thing is that I can combine all of it together in my
Right.
energy work, right? So so I get a lot of clients coming to me, that need a program like Dr. Amon's. So if you can't go get a spec scan, you come see me because I've now been certified to do brain health coaching. I've taken his professional program.
Right.
So people come to me and we go through questionnaires, and we do some body talk, right?
Right.
And we find out what they need and if they need special supplements, if they need a special diet, right? If they need special exercises that they need to do, right? So physical exercises, a lot of the time I tell them they need to do Tai Chi, Qigong,
Yeah.
that's always been the top of my list. Um, and then whatever certain physical exercises are needed based on their brain type, right? And then we do the energy work, and then we also do some other types of therapy exercises, mental exercises. So I teach them meditations or little cognitive behavioral therapy type exercises, right?
Right.
So, but the body talk is always at the top, right?
Yeah, I
um,
mean, why
yeah.
it's sort of like, why would we not use something which can give us like a shortcut and sort of cut the
Oh,
proverbial crap, yeah, and
yeah, yeah.
something that gives us a shortcut, and we can still stay a certain amount of uh, keep critical to a certain amount. Say, okay, I think there have been cases where people have said, you've had your energy work, you're healed of everything, and then 3 weeks later the person's died of some sickness. I
Right.
think we've been in the area long enough to know, like, okay, I want you to remain critical. I've done the energy work, and there may be other things you need to do. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah. So, and it's knowing, what's priority, what's not, and I think, I've been really, blessed to be able to know, I can really feel my clients very well and know what I need to do and in what order, what's going to be the best order for them.
yeah, I
So,
noticed that you're quite good with ordering. Now you're like, Richard, get up. Richard, go there. No, 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 no. I didn't mean it like that. I meant like ordering. You get the line. You align things like, okay, this is better first, and then like that. Like
that's right.
we
Yeah.
we talked once, and you said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you a schedule that the supplements are going to work in their best way, and it
Right.
was amazing.
Right. Yeah. And because, your friend takes a certain supplement doesn't mean that it's going to be right for you. Right. So, um,
Right.
you know,
Do you
I
find it's really interesting? Sorry,
yeah,
jumping in. Okay.
yeah,
Do you
yeah, yeah,
find
yeah.
like you go to somebody and they say, oh, I'm taking vitamin C, and then you go, because I do this, I go, oh, well, the vitamin C you're taking is not the one you need. You need a different one.
Yes.
So that, and I'll actually go and check. I'll muscle test all the brands. Yeah, that's the way I do it. I say, okay, this brand would be good for you, and it's not personal. It's like maybe that brand is not good for somebody else, but for some
No,
reason this one is good for you. Do
that's right.
you
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
right?
Yes. Yeah. So
That,
people ask me, oh, are there certain supplements that you work with? Yes, there are. But if I feel that somebody really needs something outside of, the 6 or 7 that brands that I work with, right?
yeah,
Then I will say, no, you definitely need to pick this specific one up, right? Because this is what's going to make the biggest shift for you.
right.
And it, you know, yeah, supplements have vibration too, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's like that
everybody's
whole
frequency and um yeah, so we have to, like, I'm very aware of when I see someone, and well, I did work at a health food store for a little while too when I came back to Canada.
mm,
And we were told that we couldn't make recommendations, but as a nutritionist, I was fine. I could make some recommendations, but
right,
um it was really tough because some people were adamant they wanted to take this particular supplement, but I knew it wasn't going to work,
right.
right?
And it wasn't. it might have been the shape of the bottle. Like, I mean, that's when we're getting to this silly level of energy where you go, it's the color of the cap,
Yeah.
you're weak to the color of the cap and it's weakening the whole process. And then you got to go, hey, dude, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So trying to steer them to something else, right, is
do you've, have you ever been just felt like, I don't want to do any of you work. I've had enough. It's like, this is too
yeah.
much information. Like, could you just bog off for a bit?
Yeah, yeah. There have been times in my career where I wanted to pack it in. You
Right.
know, I talk about burnout maybe, or
Mm,
not taking care of myself, right?
right.
You know, I'm the I've always been the type of person that I've always looked out for everybody else,
Yes.
and really, I've had to learn to set up my boundaries, right, and to start taking care of myself, because I've had a couple little scares where, my body kind of said, you need to stop and reflect on what you're doing, and take care of yourself. So
Mm,
um so that's important, and for a lot of the new practitioners that I'm talking to and mentoring, that's top of the list. You have to take care of yourself,
mm,
right? And not all overload yourself. Like, you're dealing with energy, and energy can be very powerful.
yeah.
And and when you're, and especially with the people that I'm dealing with, a lot of them have PTSD, mental
Right.
health issues, right? A lot of them have been suicidal.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there are days I come home and I have a little cry,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
and I let myself cry.
Mm,
But yeah, it's just really, I'm much more aware than ever
mm, right.
about the energy around me
That's
and my
beautiful.
energies, and
Mm.
making sure that they're strong.
Would you would you have some advice for somebody who is just doesn't know anything about energy work, and maybe they're trying to find a practitioner, or maybe they want to get into it, with your background, like you just got this enormous background, like just a wonderful breadth of experience. What would you say
Yeah.
to my listener? I've got two, so it's like
Yeah.
Fred and his girlfriend Dawn. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first thing is to really do some research, right? Um, Look at, there's tons of energy modalities out there, right? Um, and when you find something that looks interesting, look for the practitioners. Like, look for maybe a body, like a association, right, that has a
Right.
list of the practitioners, and go through each practitioner that's in your area, and just, if they have a picture, just kind of sit with the picture and have it, if it resonates with you. If their bio, they should have a bio, right, that says
Mm,
a little bit of something about them, right?
mm,
So read the bio. If it resonates with you, phone them up and do an interview, basically, right?
right.
So you're going to ask lots of questions.
Right.
How long have
What,
they been? Yeah,
right. How long they exactly? I was going to say, like, what are your
right.
questions?
Yeah, yeah. How long have they been doing this type of work, right?
Mm,
What other modalities have they studied?
right.
What does their sessions look like, right?
Mm,
So get them to describe the session and what it looks like,
mm,
right? Um, and from just talking with them, you should get an idea of how they'll be with you during the
mm.
session. Now, I would go in with an open mind if you can,
Yeah. Don't
when
drift
you
like.
go for a session. Yeah. And it's difficult. I know. I have, some clients that come to me and they're like,
Right.
well, I'm just here because my wife sent me,
Right.
right?
The
So,
boss. Yeah.
they're just,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's okay, right? So I my sessions are, we have a little bit of fun sometimes, and it's lighthearted. Sometimes it gets emotional, right? There'll be some
Mm,
tears, right?
mm,
So, but my job at the beginning of a session is to really educate that person, what they're going to expect, right? And how the session's going to look and what they may feel, right? Because when you're dealing with energy work, you know, you may be on the table and all of a sudden you feel like you're going to cry, or there's some emotion bubbling to the surface, and that can just come out of the blue, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it can be scary.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
do you do pre-sessions before people come in?
I do. I do
right.
Free 15-minute little consults, right? So they can ask all the questions they want in person. I would like to see them in person or on the phone, right? We can do it on the phone, or now we're doing the virtual thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
why not?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm just
this
question's been bubbling inside me for a couple of minutes. It's about to pop out inappropriately. Have you ever just said, I can't treat you? Somebody's walked in and you've just gone like,
yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us that story, or is it more than one?
It hasn't been that many. There's probably been about 2 or 3 in my career. And one person really needed to see a doctor.
Right.
You know, instantly I knew, I'm like, their issues are way beyond what I can do.
Right.
Right. And I'll be the first one to say, you know what, I just don't have what you need, for sure. Another person, because when she started telling me her stories and all the practitioners she had gone to, and as she was talking more and more, I just got the sense that it wouldn't have mattered whatever I did. It was never going to be enough, right? And that she would be unhappy with whatever happened. You know what I mean? So, and I'd also heard from another practitioner who had seen her, said that she needed medical help as well. So she needed, you know, to see a counselor, or she needed some mental health.
Right.
Help. At that time, I was just a body talker. I didn't have the mental health, like a lot of mental health training. So I didn't feel that I could give her something with the energy work, right? But it wasn't going to be enough. She needed a lot more. Okay.
Amazing.
So I don't know. It's just, there was another lady that came and she needed to go see a Chinese medicine doctor.
Right.
It was just very obvious that she needed to get that type of energy work first before she came to see me.
What I love is definitely people listening in, they're going to be going, wow, so it's not like this eternal war against the dark forces of, you know, it's like we're all trying to help you, and some person's become a doctor, and some person's become a Chinese doctor, and some person's a psychologist. And by the way, this area is really an important area, so I had to take it. Like it's almost systemic. I know the energy is so important. So I'm going to do this, but I don't think I'm part of the orchestra. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah, with those people, it was like I could see that they needed help elsewhere, and that I was not going to be the one that was going to shift much for them, right? So, and I always tell my clients too, you know, and it's very rare, but if, you know, they don't feel anything, you know, after a couple sessions or nothing shifting that they really want, then I refer them to somebody else. I don't believe in telling them, oh, keep coming, right? It's, you know, I'll send you to maybe a different practitioner. They need a different perspective, right?
I couldn't say it's definitely the last, but one of the questions I love is, what's the freakiest, weirdest thing that's ever happened in regard to energy work? Like, just like, wow, like that's unreal. And if you can't tell me, it's okay. If it's so weird, it's like, oh.
No, it's not weird, but it was just like, and you know, I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I don't really have like a really freaky thing,
okay.
right? But I have it like, you know, a lady that I was treating distance from a distance session, right? I was in Hong Kong and she was in Nova Scotia.
Right.
Never met her, just
Right.
talked to her on the phone, actually.
Uh-huh.
And I treated her one time, and she had 3 tumors in her liver.
Right.
And with the one session, we addressed the tumors, like why they were there, and they actually represented different time periods in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Very emotionally charged time periods, like traumatic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That had locked themselves in the liver and had grown into tumors. And so addressing that, and then hearing back 3 weeks later that she had gone for her, MRI or CAT scan.
Mm.
And the doctors turned to her and said, "Oh my gosh, like we made a mistake. There's no tumors there anymore. They're gone. They're disappeared.
Yeah, right.
We've made a big mistake.
Yeah.
There were no
Right.
tumors
Right.
there in the first place." So,
Right. Right.
but I can't say anything weird. Nothing comes to mind, anything weird or freaky.
No,
But
that's cool. I mean,
that freaked me out because
right.
that was the first time I had.
That's cool. And, that happens. I don't want to say that happens a lot. It happens when it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's like,
it
people,
Yeah.
it's so easy to set expectations. Yeah, this disappears and I can do this and blah, blah. Like, it happens when it happens. And we do our bit, and sometimes.
Yeah. And they do their bit, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's been such a lovely chat with you. And I think there's just so much wonderful anecdotes, and your whole story is just so interesting, Julie. Thank you so much for coming on our little show.
Oh, thank you, Richard, for having me. It's been great.